The Fagaraki are swarming! Up here! Shut up and get me.
So I promised you guys some Vermintide commentary a couple weeks ago, and I had some time this Friday night, so I thought I would do a quick Nightmare difficulty run on Smugglers just to show off the game and give you some insight on the combat and gameplay mechanics in Vermintide. This is a first-person melee survival game set in the Warhammer universe during the end times, and basically the filthy ratmen known as Skaven have risen from the underway and sewers under the Empire and are invading Uberschreik, which is the city we're in right now. And your job in this game is basically to just go in and kill as many rats as you possibly can, move from point A to point B, and survive. It's heavily inspired by Left 4 Dead, but it has a very satisfying melee focus, which you probably saw in the first clip of this video. We'll talk more about gameplay and combat mechanics as we progress through this video, but for this run, I'm going to be playing as the Dwarf Ranger Barden Gorikson. I've got a Great Axe and a Grudge Raker equipped. The Great Axe is pretty self-explanatory. Good armor piercing and chance to decapitate with these single overhand strikes, and it's really good at killing swarms of Skaven with these charge attacks that you're going to see here in a second. Kind of side swipes that you swing side to side with the axe. And the Grudge Raker is basically a shotgun used to clear Skaven hordes. It's really crappy against armor and storm vermin, but it's quite good at clearing hordes, and both weapons are actually orange quality, which means they're some of the rarest and most damaging weapons in the game. So right here, a Skaven horn has blown, which means a Skaven horde is approaching. We're going to set ourselves up in a choke point at the door here, and I'm just going to swing my axe wildly from side to side as these Skaven come up here. And one thing about combat in this game is that it's really important to stay as far back from Skaven hordes as possible and not get surrounded. As soon as you get surrounded in this game, especially on Nightmare and Cataclysm difficulty, you're going to go down really fast. Even these really crappy Skaven hordes, the really crappy slave rats, they will do a bunch of damage to you on the higher difficulties. So putting your back to a wall or getting in a choke point is really important, and it's one way to survive the hordes a lot better. And you kind of move back, stay away from their range with their attacks, and then as you swing, you kind of move up, hit them, and then back up right away. What just happened right here is a rat ogre appeared very early on in the level. These rat ogres don't always appear. They're one of the special Skaven in the game. There are a bunch of special Skaven. There's another one right there. That's a gutter runner, an assassin from Clan Eshin. We'll talk about those in a second, but this is a rat ogre, and as you can probably imagine, they're scary as hell. Gutter runner trying to kill me. I'm going to blow its face off with the Grudge Raker. The rat ogre can take so much punishment. It's really kind of horrifying to deal with, but the interesting thing about this game is that when there's a single special Skaven up against your team, generally not going to be an issue. Even a rat ogre with all the health and all the damage it can do, just running around and being a scary beast, it's generally not going to do that much damage by itself. What gets scary in Vermintide, and where Vermintide really shines, is when there are hordes on top of you, a bunch of clan rats and slave rats all around you, and then special Skaven everywhere. And the special Skaven will combine in really interesting and scary ways to absolutely poop on your team. It's really interesting. So let's talk a little bit about the special Skaven that are in Warhammer Vermintide. There are a bunch of different kinds. You just saw the gutter runners from Clan Eshin. They're basically assassins, and they'll jump at you with these warpstone knives that they have, and if they jump on you, they will stab you and continue stabbing you until you die, unless your allies get them off of you. You're basically stun locked. They're going to stab you, stab you, stab you. There's nothing you can do if they jump on you, but it's your teammate's job to save you. So if you get stabbed by them, you want your teammates to come over, push them off, or kill them, and the assassin will go away. Right there, that is a hook rat. And basically what it will do is put this hook around you and drag you into the middle of a horde. Again, by itself, not that scary, But when it's with a horde like we see right here, with their storm vermin, heavily armored, some clan rats in there, it'll pull you into a horde, and it will mess your day up. You're going to get stabbed by a bunch of Skaven and go down really fast. Some other special Skaven, you just saw the Rat Ogre, very tanky, going to take a bunch of punishment and deal out a bunch of punishment as well. Again, not really scary by itself, but combined with other special Skaven, very scary. And a little bit later on in this, you'll actually see the Poison Wind Globadier as well, I think. They are basically a special Skaven that will throw these poison globes that will spread your team out, do a bunch of damage if you stand in the gas, and make your vision very blurry and hard for you to see, and basically just make your team separate. And once you get separated, you can again take a bunch of damage. So teamwork in Vermintide is very important. You can see what we're doing right here. We're keeping our backs to the wall, we're staying together, and presenting this kind of flurry of weapons. All of us working together, swinging our swords, using our ranged weapons, killing the Skaven together. If you spread out and let yourself get surrounded, and you're not working together, you will go down, even on the lower difficulties, you'll go down really quickly in Vermintide. So basically, if you're all standing on top of each other, swinging your swords, you kind of present this vortex, this cyclone of weapons that's really hard for the crappy Skaven to get through. All of the weapons have different abilities, like certainly the axe is going to have some armor piercing, hammers, not so much, but they're really good at clearing large groups of Skaven. Certain weapons are good for killing single targets, certain weapons are good for killing groups of targets. But if you're working together, swinging your swords together, you're going to do a bunch of damage, and it's going to be hard for the Skaven to penetrate. However, like I said, there are the special Skaven which are going to try to separate your group. Hookrat's going to try to pull you into the middle of the horde. Poison Globadier is going to throw a poison globe into the middle of your group and make you scatter. Rat Ogre is going to make you scatter. They are the things that are going to combine to wreck your team. And that's where Vermintide, again, gets really interesting, is where you have a bunch of these special Skaven working together to poop on your team. And it does happen. Like, you'll be doing fine. You'll have made it 75% of the way through the mission. All of a sudden, a bunch of specials come at once, try to pull you to your death, like right here, Hookrat trying to pull me away. And suddenly your team just dies really quickly. One of the things I really love about this game that really makes me keep coming back and playing missions over and over again is the random spawning of the Skaven. It's really interesting because specials don't spawn at the same time in the same places at the same frequency in every run. In fact, every run you do on this game is going to be different in some way. There are going to be some runs where you'll do 5 or 6 in a row and everything is super easy. You only get a couple of special Skaven, you only get like 1 Rattling Gunner or 1 Poison Wind Globadier throughout this whole mission, and you're fine, everything's super easy. And then all of a sudden, in one run, you're going to have a Rattling Gunner suppressing your entire team with a Rat Ogre that spawns and a Clan Eshin Assassin stabbing one of your teammates, and they all spawn at the exact same time, beating you guys up. And it gets ridiculous, and it's one of the things that makes it so exciting and each run feels so unique, is that you don't know when the shit is going to hit the fan at any point in the game. Sometimes you get screwed over by RNG. Sometimes you're just going to have too much to deal with at one time, and you die, and yeah, that's frustrating, but for me, one of the biggest appeals is that random factor where stuff can hit you from any moment at any angle, and you don't know how to deal with it. Not everything in this game is completely random though. For example, we just hit the winch on the second gate here on Smuggler's Run, and at this point, there will always be a Skaven horde that spawns. Now, the amount of specials, the amount of storm vermin that spawn in this horde are random. As you can see right here, there are 2 storm vermin, these very heavily armored, huge black fur rats that have these massive halberds, do a bunch of damage in melee. They'll spawn at different frequencies, and sometimes they'll gang up, like it just happened to our Waywatcher Elf right here. She got ganged up on by 2 massive black furs, and we're going to have to go heal her, pick her up before we make the run for the gate. But sometimes those will spawn, and they can do a bunch of damage to you, but storm vermin are dealt with in a very specific, special way. Basically, they have plate mail all over their body, so normal attacks without armor piercing will not penetrate their armor. So best way to kill them is go for headshots with armor piercing weapons. That will take them down very quickly, but there are also other ways of doing it. For example, you can pick up bombs on the map. You just saw us throw a bomb there. That is a great way to clear hordes of Skaven, but it's also good for killing some of the special targets in this game as well. If you also drink a strength potion, which is one of the potions you can pick up, you can see it right here. It's the 4th item down on the right side of my screen, under my weapons. You can drink these potions before you throw a bomb or before you go into melee combat, and like a strength potion will amplify the amount of damage you can dish out all at once. So if you drink a strength potion and then throw a bomb, that will do a ridiculous amount of damage to a horde or to special units. You just saw a Poison Wind Globadier throw some poison globes there in the background there, and we're going to start backing up and making a run for the exit here. I'm going to hold the gate to allow my teammates to escape. I have more health than most of them. A bunch of them have already gotten beaten up, but I can hold this entire tunnel with the Grudge Raker. It has Hail of Doom and Rupture, which means it has an 80 to 100% chance to penetrate one additional target, and it can kill multiple Skaven with a single shot. So it's a very good weapon, very useful for taking out multiple Skaven. And we have basically made it to the end of the mission here. We're going to climb the ladder and run to the coach, heal up a bit, and you can see my teammates have taken a bunch of damage. I didn't heal once that entire game, I don't think. So on a Nightmare run, only taking about 45 or 50 damage. Quite good, but we're going to now talk a little bit about the RNG that comes at the end of a Vermintide run. So once you've completed a mission, you're going to get bonuses for keeping certain heroes alive. Completing the mission on a higher difficulty will obviously give you more points. But there are two kinds of missions. There are side missions and main missions. Main missions have these things called grimoires and tomes, which you can pick up and collect during the run, and they will improve the roll that you can get. They'll basically give you more loot die to toss. It'll give you a higher chance of getting a good unlock. There are none of those in side missions, so this was a side mission. We didn't get any tomes or grimoires on this run, so my roll was not very good. It was just a green weapon. It's a pretty common kind of weapon to pick up, and this system is something that kind of pisses people off. It is completely based on RNG. You can improve your RNG by getting unlocks, but there's no guarantee you're ever going to get really good weapons. It is pretty random at some points. A lot of people feel like the loot system needs a complete overhaul in this game, and I can't say I really disagree. I think that if you do some of the harder difficulty runs, you should be guaranteed a better drop, because there's nothing more frustrating than getting a common weapon after a Nightmare or Cataclysm run. It's just really, really frustrating. But overall, this game cost, I think, $25 or $30. It's really cheap, and I already have 60 hours on the game. It's extremely fun. The atmosphere, the sound, the music in this game is amazing. Some of the soundtracks in this game are so good. They'll get you really pumped as the hordes come in. The weapons, the melee combat, everything is really satisfying. There are some downsides like the RNG loot system, but overall, I definitely recommend this game. I mean, it's really fun. If you want something to tie you over until Warhammer Total War, I recommend picking this up.